Hello Year Ones! Today our story is called Katie and the Dinosaurs. It's written by James Mayhew. Do you remember Katie, who went to London? We read a story about her in London, didn't we? Well, this time she's having an adventure at the Natural History Museum. Some of you may have been to the Natural History Museum. And in the Natural History Museum they do have huge skeletons of dinosaurs, just like this one. "Come and look, Grandma. Come and see the dinosaur," said Katie. Katie loved the Natural History Museum and she wanted to show her Grandma everything. "They're just a load of old bones," said Grandma. "Well, you're really old," said Katie. "There must have been dinosaurs alive when you were little." "I am not that old," said Grandma, looking for somewhere to sit down. They found a seat next to a skeleton of a very fierce-looking dinosaur. "Why don't you go and look at your horrible dinosaurs while I have 40 winks," said Grandma. "They're not horrible," said Katie. "But I do wish they weren't just skeletons." And she skipped off on her own, taking her picnic lunch with her, just in case she got hungry. Katie saw spiky dinosaurs, fishy dinosaurs, flying dinosaurs, horned dinosaurs, and long dinosaurs. She closed her eyes and she tried to imagine that they were alive. She thought that they must have been very frightening with their sharp teeth and their sharp claws. Next to one of the dinosaurs was a corridor. Katie set off down it to make sure that she hadn't missed anything worth seeing. The corridor was long and dark, and there was no one in sight. Katie began to feel scared. She looked for a way out sign, but there didn't seem to be one. She was lost. Oh dear, how do you think Katie's feeling here? Said she was scared, maybe she's lonely, maybe she's terrified. What's going to happen? "Now what do I do?" said Katie crossly. She came to a big door with a notice on it that said, "Absolutely no admittance whatsoever." "I'll just take a quick look," said Katie, and she opened the door and she stepped through. Can you see that sign? It says absolutely no admittance whatsoever. Would you go through that door? Do you think Katie should have gone through? Don't think so. And what do you think she's going to find through that door? What do you think it might be? Can you say? Oh, I wonder what's through that door. Let's find out. Ooh. It's like a new world with real live dinosaurs. The door led outside and there in front of her was a dinosaur. It was no bigger than Katie, but it was a real live one. "Hello," said Katie. "Who are you?" "Hadrosaurus," said the dinosaur. "Who are you?" "I'm Katie," said Katie, "and I think I'm lost." "I'm lost too," said Hadrosaurus. "I was chased by a T-Rex." "Isn't that the really fierce dinosaur?" asked Katie. "That's right," said Hadrosaurus. "Now I don't know how to get home." "Don't worry," said Katie. "I'll be able to see where we are from the top of this hill." And she clambered up a steep slope. This isn't a hill," said Hadrosaurus, climbing up behind her. "Oh, if that's not a hill, what do you think it is? What could that be?" "Oh, it's the tail of a dinosaur. They've climbed onto his back. Can you see?" Katie gasped. "Oh, it's a brontosaurus." She was very high up and she could see for miles. What could you see if you were Katie? Can you see the volcanoes and the very interesting trees? And we can see some pterosaurs flying. This volcano looks like it's going to explode. "Show me where you live," said Katie. "I think it's somewhere over there along the riverbank," said Hadrosaurus. Katie looked across the river. "What are those funny-looking birds?" she asked. "They're pterosaurs," said Hadrosaurus. "Watch out." Wonder what they're going to do. But one of the pterosaurs had already spotted Katie's yellow scarf. It swooped towards her, and before Katie could duck, it had snatched the scarf from her. "Hey, that's mine! Bring it back!" yelled Katie. Can you see the pterosaurs grab the scarf? But the pterosaur was far away already. Now the brontosaurus started to move. She was getting fed up with those two noisy creatures jumping about on her back and how they made her itch. I wonder where the Brontosaurus is going to go. She's gone right into the water. Katie hung on for dear life, slipping and sliding about on the Brontosaurus's back as she lumbered down to the river for a nice cool bathe. She was so huge that Katie and Hadrosaurus hardly got wet at all. Can you see? They don't even touch the water. From high up on the Brontosaurus's back, Katie could look right out to sea. All sorts of strange creatures were swimming in there. She recognised some of them from the museum. The Ichthyosaurus with their long snouts and the Plesiosaur with its snake-like neck. Before long, the Brontosaurus reached the edge of the water. "Let's go," said Katie, followed by Hadrosaurus. She slid all the way down to the tip of the Brontosaurus's tail, and they landed in a giggling heap on the ground. The Brontosaurus chuckled a deep, thundery laugh. "Which way now?" said Katie. "Into the jungle," said Hadrosaurus. Wow, I can see some more dinosaurs in here. Can you see the Stegosaurus? Oh, that one. The jungle was hot and sticky. Through the trees, Katie could see a herd of enormous dinosaurs. "What on earth are those?" asked Katie. "I don't like the look of them." "Oh, only Stegosaurus," said Hadrosaurus. "They won't hurt us." "Are you sure?" said Katie, suspiciously, as one Stegosaur licked its lips. "Oh yes, they're only plant eaters," said Hadrosaurus. So Katie gave them some grass. Then they went on through the jungle, and soon the trees began to thin out. Suddenly, Hadrosaurus let out a squeal. "Mama, Papa!" he shouted. It was Hadrosaurus's family. His mama and Papa hugged him and hugged Katie, too, for bringing him home. "I hope you're not going to eat me," worried Katie. "Oh, don't be afraid, Katie," said Hadrosaurus. We only eat plants too." That reminded Katie that she hadn't had her picnic lunch yet. She was feeling quite hungry by now, but she politely shared her cucumber sandwiches and chocolate biscuits. She saved her meat pie for later. Plant-eating dinosaurs from far and wide picked up the smell of Katie's sandwiches and they padded across the rocks towards her. There was a Styracosaurus and a Triceratops with their horns, an Iguanodon with its spiky thumbs, and some Ankylosaurus. Can you see the Iguanodon with its spiky thumbs? Imagine having spiky thumbs. The dinosaurs shook some strange-looking fruits out of the trees and they all ate until they were full. It was the best picnic Katie had ever had. Oh, what can you see? Who's arrived? Uh-oh, do you think he smelt the food? Suddenly another dinosaur crashed out of the jungle. It was Tyrannosaurus Rex. He had been following Katie and Hadrosaurus all along. He grunted and growled and ground his teeth, and he swished his tail and he stamped his scaly feet. He was hungry, and he didn't want cucumber sandwiches or chocolate biscuits. He wanted meat. He wanted Katie. "Quick, run for your life," said the Hadrosaurus, and Katie took to her heels. All the dinosaurs ran away in alarm. Tyrannosaurus Rex thundered after Katie and the dinosaurs as they ran through the jungle towards the river. Katie got out of breath, but she kept on running. At last she could see the museum ahead of her. If only she had stayed safely inside. Then she remembered the meat pie. She tore open her lunch and she threw a piece of meat pie at the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The Tyrannosaurus stopped in his tracks. He sniffed the piece of pie and he ate it up. He liked it so much that Katie threw him the rest, even though she had been saving it for herself. And the Tyrannosaurus Rex padded off into the jungle again, contentedly clutching Katie's lunchbox. "Phew, that was close," said Katie. It was getting late now, so Katie turned to say goodbye to Hadrosaurus. "I do wish you could come home with me," she said, "but Grandma would only scream and make a fuss." "Oh, I'm happy here with my family anyway," said Hadrosaurus. He gave Katie a lick. "Ugh, thank you for helping me find them." "Blech!" splattered Katie, as dinosaurs have very sloppy tongues. Then she went back through the door into the museum. This time Katie easily found her way through the museum. Grandma was waiting where she had left her. "Where on earth have you been?" asked Grandma. "I've seen all kinds of dinosaurs," said Katie. "Why don't you come and have a look too?" "All right," said Grandma. "Where do we start?" "This way," said Katie, and taking her hand, off they went. I hope you enjoyed our story this week. See you later.